But anyway, it's fine because we've got a genuine theist on the line who wants to explain something to us about how people are using the Bible wrong. So welcome, Bear in California. Thanks so much for waiting.
Greetings, everyone, and thank you for having me. Yeah, the first thing I'd like to say is I understand all atheisms because of the way this book is being illustrated. It is not a Christian book, and I didn't prove that many of times. This is not a Christian book, and we can go into that later. I didn't pull out that spiritual one creator God that they're talking about. That's nowhere in that Bible, and I can prove that at any day, at any time. Only with the Bible. I do not go outside the Bible. Evolution, I can prove that inside the Genesis. But the topic that I called in for, because I was listening about the guys is out there, you know, some use profanity, but they're voicing their religion in a very, very vulgar way. And in my community, you have the Hebrew Israelites where they're on the corner, white man, devil, and, you know, doing all these vulgar things, and they're actually hurting our community more than they're doing good. So this is on a one note, no matter what religion you are, this is something that has to be done. So it's either, if we can do it legally, they try to say that church and you know, government don't mix, so they have the freedom of speech. But when you use their own Bible against them, they cannot say nothing. And I have a Bible verse that proves that said that they're not supposed to be on the street corners at all.
Okay, I'm confused. Bear, pause.
Them,
Bear, pause. I'm confused about a lot of stuff. So maybe we're talking about different Bibles, but when you say the Bible isn't a Christian book, when the Christian Bible is the foundation of Christianity, I think there's a little bit of hang on.
Yes.
I think there's a little bit of language confusion there that could be clarified. But when you talk about how you can use the Bible to prove evolution, no, you can't. You can't use the Bible to prove anything other than here's what it says in the Bible. And then when you say that they want separation of church and state so they have free speech, that's not what free speech is. So there's a number of things that you said that I'm just confused about. And so can we pick one and have you clarify it? Like, how is the Bible not a Christian book if the Christian Bible is it? Hang on, let me finish the question.
Yes.
What do you mean when you say that the Bible, the Christian Bible, that is the foundation of Christianity, isn't a Christian book? Well, what do you mean by that?
You saying Christian Bible? That number one, everyone that's knowing that Bible, knowing that Paul went to Damascus to prosecute and kill Christians. This was before Christ's death, when he was killing Christians. They went to Antioch. That's when they was called Christians. So that means that Christianity was already formed. Listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying.
No, Bear, stop. If I'm trying to interrupt you to get clarification. Yes, you are done. You are done. Okay? The book, when I say it's the Christian Bible, what I mean is this is the Bible with the text in it that serves as the foundation that teaches Christianity. The New Testament in particular, the Old Testament being a Jewish Bible, the New Testament being the writings of Paul and others. I'm aware that Paul had a Damascus Road experience and went from going to kill Christians to becoming one. I'm aware that Christianity existed prior to the writing. That is a necessary fact. You cannot have the writing before there's the belief. The writing is an expression of the belief. I'm asking you, how can you say that this book, which is the expression of Christian beliefs and the foundation of Christian doctrine spreading, isn't Christian? What do you mean by that?
Okay. Number one, just because they took some information and called it theirs, that doesn't mean it's theirs. Number one. Number two,
this isn't about whose it is.
Christianity have a listen.
I'm going to hang up on you in a minute.
Christianity have a. Well, hang the fuck up, then. I don't care. I'm trying to get some solutions out here. We have a point.
You're not getting solutions. I'm asking you to explain what you mean, and instead you keep just denying things.
I'm trying to explain to you.
Would you listen? If you would fucking listen to me. If you would listen to me, we could get clarification. All right.
Listen.
Your ass is now muted. Please stop talking and listen, because I'm genuinely trying to understand this. Here's a book I've got 15 copies of it next to me. This book, part of it is the writings of Christians, people who believed that Jesus was the Christ, people who believed this particular doctrine or a collection of doctrines. This is the book that is a collection of those writings. How does it possibly make sense to say that this is not a Christian book when it is the premier foundational Christian book? That's all I'm asking, because I'm not saying you're wrong, so please stop being defensive. I'm asking you to explain what you mean when you say it's not a Christian book, because you could mean you have secret knowledge of a different Christianity and that the Bible is a perversion of it. Or you could mean that there are other doctrines that are missing. You could mean that there's another version of Christianity that isn't tied to the Bible. I'm trying to understand what your point is, and you just keep going off on tangents. So when you say this book that is undeniably, indisputably, the cornerstone of Christianity isn't a Christian book, all I want to know is, what do you mean by that?
Okay. Now, if you listen real closely, I'm telling you in this self-explanatory. If Christianity was developed, they had their own rituals, they had their own foundation way before these documents in this book was written. And those documents are different from the Bible. So evidently somebody hijacked something and they calling it their own, but it's not theirs. When Paul went to Damascus, when Paul went to Antioch, they was called Christians. You don't see nowhere where Paul called himself a Christian. Nowhere.
This is so irrelevant. And this is such a confused understanding of what's going on. It's completely irrelevant.
Okay. But what are these? Basically, the only reason why I got on here is to talk about how to get these people off these corners, the radical things that they're doing.
Off of
really the basis of the.
Okay, now you're muted again. Who is on a corner, and who is it that you want to get off of the corner? Briefly, who do you want to get off the corner? Why do you want to get them off the corner? And what is your plan? That's it. Boom, boom, boom.
Hey, you got too much control. Fuck you and your show. Let's debate anything that you want to talk about. We can go on a whole different show. Because you keep muting me, and you don't have an understanding. You ain't trying to see. I'm trying to tell you.
Bear, get your own fucking show if you want to control a conversation.
I just gave you an opportunity to speak to thousands of people and tell them who you want off the street corner, why, and what your plan is. And instead of taking that opportunity, you hung up. Fuck you and your show, says Bear. I'm sorry that you have bought into some weird, very esoteric nonsense about Christianity. But when you say something like the Bible isn't a Christian book, you are on the bizarre end of things, and you have to expect that people are going to ask you to actually justify that. Not that you're wrong. At no point was I saying this is not true. But when you say these Christians had their beliefs before the Bible, correct, they did. And it was spread by word of mouth. This is what the apostles were doing. They had their own documents, and they had their own rituals. Yes, they did. And the Bible is the codification of that. The books that made it into the Bible, of all the potential books that were out there, were the ones that were selected by this group. They don't get to claim it's theirs or call it theirs. They're not, this isn't a matter of ownership. They're saying, here is the authorized groups. Now, if you want to point to other documents, cool. If you want to point to other stories, cool.
That was my issue, was like, in virtue of what? I mean, if a Christian could just cite, like, P52, for example, right? It's like the earliest scrap of the manuscript. But I'm not sure how, when you say there's other documents, what are you going to offer up that to the scholars that are going to cite like P52 or anything like that, and then ignore like oral traditions, things like that, where you end up getting the actual the Bible itself. There's a very strange line of reasoning there.
I tell you what, while we're wrapping things up here, if you guys want to get together and push us towards 666 likes to freak out folks like Bear and other people, you should be doing that right now, because there's well over 1,000 of you still here. It's strange to me that people are given the opportunity to express something, and all we're doing is, I want it to be clear. I don't want the audience to sit here confused. And if, no offense to Bear, but if what you're saying sounds like what you would hear someone with a sandwich board on a street corner who's off of their medication saying, preaching about the end times or the secret knowledge of this religion or anything else, what he said literally at one point, if you go back and listen, was that there are Hebrew Israelites on the corner. Now, the caller called before to say, you know, hey, am I anti-Semitic? And I'm like, no, not unless you're hating on Jews. But if you're saying there are Hebrew Israelites on the corner, okay, I want to know who these people are. I want to know why you want them off the corner, and how you're going to use a Bible to do it, and which Bible. It's not a Christian Bible, and it's a Bible you can prove evolution with. Bear was all over the place, and I know he doesn't get it. Most people haven't put the time in it to think about, you know, hey, how can I defend what I believe, or what it is, my beliefs, or what it is that I'm saying. But we're not the enemy here. JMike and I we didn't get up this morning and say, man, I can't wait to do this show where every time somebody tries to say what they believe in God, we could just hang up on them. That is not what either of us have ever wanted to do. And yes, there's a delay, and yes, it's problematic, and we're you know, making improvements on it. But most of the rest of the calls, we managed to work our way around it. But if you're going to call in and say, oh, there's some special version of Christianity, cool. I'm not interested in conspiracy theories, and I really don't care, I guess, who Bear wants to get off of the street corner. I thought I did, because I was really looking forward to hearing why we should do that.
Hello, I'm Jimmy Snow, executive producer of The Line, and I only became a woodworker for the puns. That's not important. If you would like to support this channel, you can do so on our Patreon or as a channel member, and you can actually support specific shows and specific hosts in special tiers on those. Check those options out. Also, you can leave a super thanks and get a little highlighted deal. But if all else fails, you can always you can subscribe and leave a comment. Now, here are some suggestions, because I don't care about the algorithm. I am the algorithm. Bye.